Times Terrestrial, Channel 127, Free TV, Channel 507, People's TV, Channel 285, and UHF, Channel 38.
Dr. James Komolafe, thank you so much for those very interesting holistic tips you always give us here on ASO Morning. I hope that everybody listening would take a cue. But still talking about mental health, emotional and spiritual, in fact, holistic well-being. We'll be talking about the power of emotions in this segment, and I have a guest right here who would tell us what it all means. I mean, emotional needs are feelings or conditions we need to feel happy, fulfilled, or at peace. Without them, we feel frustrated, hurt, or dissatisfied. What is the power? Can we control these emotions? How much or how deeply can these emotions affect every other part of our lives? Very interesting. That's what we'll be discussing. In the studio right now to discuss all of this is Helen Ikechukwu, who is an alternative health practitioner. She's right here in the studio. It's exciting to know how we can control our emotions and the powers, in fact, that our emotions have. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much.
Girl, it's very interesting. Very often we don't even think about our emotions. We are always about, okay, what we can see. And we go through life not knowing that we're picking one or two things, right? I mean, you are the expert.
Yeah.
What is the power of our emotions?
Yeah, honestly, it's a very, very important topic to deal with because there's a way we human beings operate. We compartmentalize everything. We have the body, we have the mind, and we have the thoughts.
Right.
It doesn't occur to us that it's one whole. It's just one whole. But we deal with just the body, and we forget that the body is actually dependent on the thoughts. People have to get to understand that the emotion is very, very powerful. First and foremost, what is the design? How was this body designed? How is it designed to operate? You find out that people go through their lives not knowing that their thinking, their thoughts, their emotion impacts their well-being.
Being, right.
Yeah. I'll give you a story of a lady. She's working, there's a place she's working, and then she has this boss. Her boss is somebody who is friendly but stern, harsh. At a point in time, the lady started feeling irritated by this person. Every day, she takes on this irritation, and she doesn't really address it. Then one day, the boss came and then just said something really, very terrible to her. And
Which is something she had been taking for a very long time.
And then this irritation got to the level where she almost snapped, but took it in. And went to meet a colleague of ours and kept complaining, lamenting about how horrible this man is and how terrible he is and how irritating he crawls on her skin and all that. And then she goes to bed. By morning, she wakes up with a rash. And then she asks herself, what is this rash? What is this? No, this is what's all this irritating thing? She went to the chemist and the pharmacist, and then she got an ointment to deal with the rash. But then she went back to the office again, and the cycle began. The boss became more irritating, and the rash started spreading. She was not able to make the connection between the irritation, the
that she's harboring, right?
Yes, the thought irritation she has, and
the manifestation in her
the physical body,
right?
Exactly. And this is the cycle. It got so bad that it started affecting her. Of course, naturally, when you start to have fear, it deals with the kidney. It starts to traumatize the kidney. So much fear on the kidney. Then the kidney will talk to the liver, the blood, the heart. Heart, can you feel this lady? Do you see what she's doing? The heart now starts to pump more blood, for the work of the what? Clearing the rash. She stays in the office, she doesn't even drink water, so the kidney can't really function very well.
Wow.
She doesn't eat very well, no good nutrition. How will this body work? The liver is dealing with so much toxins, trying to clear the toxins from the dead white blood cells that is running all over, all over her body. And then she is not letting up. She is continuing this intense emotional
turmoil.
Yeah. From here, it goes into anxiety to depression. She's still not letting up. She goes to the doctor, and then she sits in front of the doctor, just the way I'm sitting in front of you, and the doctor says, "What is wrong with you?" And then she deals with the physical symptoms. Meanwhile, what is feeding it is still feeding it. He prescribes because the doctor can never really tell. It's only what you're telling me that I can work with. She goes back and uses what was prescribed, and yet comes back again because she has not really dealt with the psychological, the emotional side of it.
And this is what we all go through. We do not understand the connection. I mean, you just mentioned from a physical expression, somebody can start putting pressure on the liver. You mentioned the liver,
yes, on the liver,
the kidney.
On the kidney.
Wow.
That's on the blood.
On the blood.
Just by using the wrong words. Because what we all need to be very conscious about is also the kind of words we use on a daily basis. Because certain words like I'm irritated will definitely bring things like irritation.
Exactly.
Will manifest it. If you have so much anger, it will also bring anger issues. You will need to vent that thought somehow. Then you have liver issues. When you need courage to move and you keep also procrastinating, you will have liver issues. These are psychosomatic issues. And it's there. You can Google it. It's everywhere.
I would like to Google it because I never made the connection. I mean, I just understand that when you are emotionally anxious, when you're having all sorts of feelings, maybe it affects the heart. I mean, that's the best I could. But I didn't know it had connections with the liver, with the kidney, the blood,
the spleen.
The spleen, you said. Wow.
Yes. And also,
so in such instances, I mean, look at Nigeria. We do not easily get services of therapists. We still believe, oh, you must be mad or completely mental, like we often say here, to get that relief that we often need. So what's the solution to this? When you are in that environment, sometimes you can't help yourself, but it's so toxic.
First and foremost, I would advise, first of all, know yourself. Take inventory of your thoughts and the things that come out of you. Because most of the time, we always want quick fixes. We want pills. We want things that will just give us that immediate satisfaction or relief, and then we move on. Take an inventory of your life. The doctor cannot help you to stop smoking. You know that smoking will do this and that to your body. You know, if you eat this and that, it would cause this. So you take inventory of your own thinking and your own action, and then see how you self-sabotage or how you bring wrong results to you through your wrong choices. So you have to also know how to make right choices for you.
But sometimes you don't have much influence on your environment. You find yourself in that environment, like you just said. She works in an office where the boss may be friendly sometimes, but very often toxic and very how did you put it now, towards her. So what would you say she can do in that instance? She might not be able to do much. Can she? Would you advise she leaves that kind of job?
Exactly. Sometimes you need to leave. Because even in this particular story that we're talking about, this lady eventually left the office. Because it also brings the question of purpose. when a child is born, parents assume that this is what this child is going to be. But if you check the ancestry, if you check the lineage, you find out that this child is born into the line of maybe kind of like singers, like a Mozart family.
Singer, right, an opera singer from
Yes. And then the child came with very strengthened voice, vocal cord. He needs to put that to use. Then you have parents who will decide that, oh no, he will be a poor person if he goes into singing. Let him become a lawyer. I mean, the world has so much trouble right now, you need lawyers, you know. And then this child starts from inception to have all these problems at the get-go. It starts to develop because he never really got in contact with the talents, with the ability, with the purpose. He doesn't have a purpose-driven life. These things we must also put into consideration.
And that child would grow up not ever feeling fulfilled.
Fulfillment is very, very, very important. Very important.
So what can this child do? Because it's very important. The parents often have that influence enough to say, oh no, you apply for this course.
Because they are paying.
Because they are paying, of course. So they are at the mercy of the children, rather, are often at the mercy of these parents who would say, apply for this, I want you to study this. And yet this child is not feeling fulfilled. What remedy would you suggest for such a child?
Well, you see some people, like I know I have dealt with some people who will go through that study for their parents and then go into their own study of choice. That's why you find that some people, they don't give up, while some people are quite easily influenced and then start to live a very dreary life from childhood. You know, so your purpose is also important. Things that will give us the very actions that will produce the very best of emotions, so that we can balance it. We are both physical and spiritual beings. So we have to know these things. You understand? You know.
So the information and awareness for this, very, like I said, I didn't even know that there's a connection from what you face physically to manifestations in your body. Yes, I didn't even know that. I mean, I know you'll be healthier if you stay in a healthy environment without that toxic environment. However, the awareness for this, how can we promulgate it? How can we cascade it? More, because we are on TV right now.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people in the rural areas who might not even know this, and they are suffering every day. How do you think we can make this widespread?
This is exactly by doing what we're doing right now, and also through the TV, social media, and all that. And personal living, really, people underestimate the power of living correctly. Because if we really want to influence the people who are in the rural areas, you have to influence them through the way you live.
Right.
You know, and that is the best form of advertisement, really. You.
Wow. Be the symbol.
Be the symbol. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But some of the feelings that we often have, we've established that some are external and we do not have that much influence to change things. But are we always going to leave those environments? Oh, this is becoming too toxic, you leave. Or what kind of life can we live? Look at how economically challenging it is for most Nigerians. And I'm in a job. Oh, the boss can be very toxic. Do you leave at all times?
Well, for me, that question is a question that I would ask myself and tell myself, okay, there are 100 people in this office. Why am I always triggered by this boss? Why me?
Okay, that's getting interesting.
Why am I always triggered? Why is A not triggered? Why is B not triggered? Why me? So you deal with that, because if you go away from there, you're the one with the energy. That's what energy medicine is all about. You're the one with the energy. The energy, you will move from this energy, you're carrying it to the next person, you will attract the same thing. So you have to
deal with you.
And that is such a difficult thing here in Africa, where we always project on somebody else. Hardly do you have people taking responsibility for their deeds here in Africa. No, it must be somebody else. It's always somebody else.
Right. Yeah. So how do we get to this point where you take responsibility? Is it something within you that is triggering you? Is it some propensity you also have that you are projecting on another person, and that is why it triggers you? Is that the information we should send? If this person is toxic and it triggers you, there must be something about you. Is that it?
I start to deal with me. Then I start to pray about it. I start to look at it from this angle. If I do this, how would it be? And I just start to do the research. And gradually, I always have a way of things coming to me. I get to see. And mostly we always know how we impact on others. We know.
We do?
We do. If we really want to, but we just don't want to. You will know if you have your child, and there's a way the child reacted to you. Maybe you scolded, or maybe there's a way you behave. You always have this feeling of how you acted towards your fellow human being from their reaction. But you just don't want to see it, really, and that's the truth.
So what role does meals play in all of this?
Yes.
Do we have
nutrition?
Nutrition.
Yes.
What role does it play in?
When
shaping it.
Yeah, you're right. When we have been on this emotional
back and forth, and the person is now so drained by it, the body starts to react to it, and then it becomes chronic. You find out that at that point the person becomes quite helpless because the emotion is taking over. Like this example I was giving you of this lady in question. By the time 2 years down the line, she became so depressed. She had to go to the hospital and had extended stay in the hospital. Of course, that job she had to let go of because this is no longer because she thought about it. It's just because she could no longer.
She could no longer.
Wow.
Yes. So at the end of the day, this was what she should have done earlier. But then also, in the hospital, she had her alone time, her me time. And then she started taking inventory of her thoughts, words, her actions. And then it occurred to her, really, is there something else I can do? Is there another business I can do? And then she realized that in her family, they are great fashion designers. Great people, great artists. And then she now went that path. Long story short, she started her own business. Actually worked with her sister to set up a very big fashion outfit. Beautiful. You know, that was what was nudging her to leave, to go and find herself. We have to find us, find me, find you.
I was talking about the economic challenges that makes us often not even think about, I need to find myself, I need the me time, I need to meditate. I was talking about meditation with somebody, and he said, what time does one have to read a book these days or even meditate? It's like struggle, unending struggle. So how can we now bring back this attitude of, you know, slowing down, meditate, have time for yourself, reflect?
Okay, if you don't want to be like that lady,
you don't have a choice, right?
You don't have a choice. There must be priority about this thing. We have to make some things very important. There are things that must have priority in our lives. You know, you cannot now put what is of priority below and then take inconsequential things and put them above in the list of what is supposed to be important. You know? Otherwise, we end up in a chronic situation, just like she did. I mean, do we all have to get there before we start to do the self-talk?
What we have to do?
No.
We were talking about meals. I apologize. I digress.
Yes. So now, nutrition. When you get, when, like the lady who got to that stage, nutrition helps, herbal remedies help. We have a whole lot of beautiful herbs that could help you sleep more. So I mean the liver wants to work, and then this person is still awake by 2 a.m. eating all sorts of things. I mean, you can imagine, you can almost hear the liver complain and say, can you just sleep a bit so I can do my work? Just a little nap.
Exactly.
Because it is known that the liver works from like 2 a.m. and that's when it really starts to do its own work, you know. But the person is still working, still as awake, busy. These things take a toll on the body, you know. So when we take those herbal remedies, we'll sleep well, the body gets its normal balance back, and then the person starts to clear those toxins from the body, and then the body gets to its optimum. Where your head, ordinarily you're foggy, with the tea, with those herbs, exercise, nature therapy, you know, you then are able to, and then of course spiritual words, blessed words that motivate,
Yeah, exactly.
you know. The person now is able to actually also get the inspiration, get blessed ideas to do things. You cannot be inspired when your body is not functioning.
Exactly.
It can't work.
You cannot be inspired when your body is not functioning.
Yes.
Wow, that's something I have to really, I'm just taking the mental notes for myself. You cannot be inspired when the body is not functioning.
Yeah.
But would you say that in retrospect, we are getting worse when it comes to appreciation of what nature already has? You just mentioned how herbal tea can really help you even calm down. And here we are getting all synthetic with everything that we do. Does it concern you that we are not appreciating again? I grew up always, there was nothing like pizza in my home, but now there is, unfortunately. How did I get here? I grew up with fruits and vegetables, and it was even fun to go on nature walks and pick fruits and all of that. But here I am today, and I can tell you that my body's probably suffering for it.
Yes, you said it all.
So
Yeah.
how could we're going so fast paced? We're getting all Western. How can we reflect and say, you know what, Africa, Nigeria is indeed blessed with some of these herbs you have mentioned? Let's go back to base.
Well, we have to take back our power. Take back your power. You have to be responsible for you. We cannot now continue on a downward trend. First of all, we have to know where we are going to, the destination. Where is this going to lead to? It's a downward spiral. So if you don't want to end up in this way, you have to do what? You have to take your power back. Take possession of your food. Take possession of your thoughts. Take possession of things that pertains to you, you know, and then work with it. Then you start to every day make plans, make decisions that will help improve this. Of course, it takes doing. It takes time.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's just like people will come to you. Somebody has diabetes and then comes to you and tells you that, you know, I've been suffering this for so long. What am I going to do? And then he expects you or she expects you to give them something that will help them solve the problem that it took 20 years to develop. How would you fix it in 2 hours? How? There must be commitment to wanting to change a particular lifestyle, a particular pattern, because it is the pattern that brought it about anyways. And then the pattern is so entrenched that it will be difficult to uproot it without causing a great cataclysm in that human body. You know, it takes gradual process, you know, for it to then ease out. And then commitment to that. If not, it won't work. It won't work. You give it a year, 2 years, 3 years of changing your diet, going more into more plant-based diet. You take your tea, do a lot of exercises, do a lot of those things will actually on their own really change you. And then also your association. Your association, yes.
And now talking about association, that's one of the things I think we're losing, that communal part of us as Nigerians. And you just said association. I listened to one, a TEDx talk that a certain country or community tend to live so long. And when they investigated and researched why, they realized that they are so interconnected, they are so communal, they are so social.
Yes.
But that's what we're losing here. We have our fences so high. And we don't even know who our neighbors are. Our children are now growing up watching just TV. They don't associate as much as they should. So association, you say, but where are we in that?
Well, as I mean, the fences are really, really high. But at the end of the day, when the person needs help, the person jumps that fence, you know. So we just don't want a situation where the person you have to wait until it gets really bad. It is not only the physical fencing. There's also emotional fencing.
Right.
You know, I offended you, and maybe especially man-woman relationship, and the man feels, okay, I was betrayed, and then he closes his heart, no more friends, no more this. There is already a wall.
Right.
So for you to have a physical wall, you've already had the emotional wall. So really, we're dealing with the emotional wall, because without that emotional wall, the physical wall will not come. Yeah.
Right.
So it's the same thing with treatment. We should deal with the psychosomatic reason for the illness, rather than always dealing with the physical
symptoms.
Yes,
right.
Of course, when the physical symptom comes and it becomes chronic, you have to deal with it. Yes, it also affects.
But simultaneously.
But okay, you have a man who had a problem in the office, maybe with his wife at home, and then he started having a high blood pressure. He goes to the doctor and tells the doctor, oh goodness, doctor, I'm just feeling a pain here. I'm feeling some, and the doctor says, okay, you're feeling the pain, did the test and everything, and then helped him, gave him a drug. But he did not tell the doctor and that he has this nagging problem of this woman in his mind.
Right.
And then he takes it, he drinks it, but the nagging continues. Do you see? That nagging continues. How will that drug work? He will have to come back to the doctor.
For more.
For more.
And maybe becomes
it becomes chronic, yes. He has to let go. He has to let go of that irritation, of that anger, of that whatever emotion it is.
Helen Ikechukwu, I mean, we can go on and on, but our time is up. I've learned so much today. We're talking about the power of our emotions. It starts and begins and ends with you. That's one thing I'm taking out today. Yeah. It starts and begins. But if is there your last thought you would like to share to viewers right now who might be wondering, how do I do more? I mean, how do I have this control more? You keep saying it's you have the power to do it. But for people who might be asking, what's your last thought?
Yes, you have to work on your nutrition. There is the herbal tea, and then also there's a spiritual side too.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Helen Ikechukwu, alternative medicine practitioner. We'll be bringing you often to give us more tips on how to live healthy, living healthy with Helen. Thank you. Thank you for being part of the program.
You're welcome.
It's time to go join the Investment Plus team that's standing by to give us financial management tips. It promises to be interesting, especially as we are going through harrowing economic challenges. We'll be back after that as we have yet another interview.